When you jump into Neverwinter Nights, playing the original campaigns and the various expansions compared to other kind of classic D&D titles like Icewind Dale or Baldur's Gate, it's a question of replayability. And in terms of replayability, Neverwinter Nights, analyzing it, jumping into it, it occupies an interesting place based on how Neverwinter Nights was originally envisioned, how it was created, and how the rollout kind of changed things. No spoilers in this vlog if you're making your way through the campaign. Neverwinter Nights was never designed for replayability, and that's its absolute strength. So what do I mean by that? It was designed as an online D&D toolkit. You have a server, you run adventures, you play different modules. Essentially, the modules were made to plug into the engine. And the original campaign and the secondary campaigns, they were kind of an afterthought because they realized you can't ship a game or just a tool set without something to play, to kind of show off that tool set or take advantage of it. So what we see with Neverwinter Nights is the strength of the game itself in terms of replayability is all of the various modules, downloads, modifications. Now, of course, if you're going PC, you have full control over it. But even playing Neverwinter Nights on my iPhone, which I have to say is like, at this point, 99% of it, to have that in my pocket and play is really interesting. There are numerous free modules, premium modules, downloadable modules. You have tons and tons and tons of Neverwinter Nights available to play. Now, the campaign itself, in terms of replayability, there's a primary story. It's not as involved as, say, Baldur's Gate. It's a little bit more involved compared to Icewind Dale. There's a couple of extra quests and choices that you can play, but I have to say, once you've played through the primary campaign, maybe twice, you kind of know what to expect and you kind of know what's going on and where you got to go. The replayability there, of course, is character classes, which has a little bit more bite than you think because, yes, absolutely, there are RPG aspects of Neverwinter Nights, but being D&D 3.5, 3.x, it's primarily a combat engine and dealing with minions, mini-bosses, and, of course, main bosses. So being a combat engine, exploring different henchmen, different summons, different hirelings, and different character classes, even though you know the story and you're on the rails for the story, you get to try out different tactics and ways of exploring it. So after 2 or 3 plays, 4 plays, you've kind of been there and done that. You could come back in a year or two, but the ultimate strength of the game is playing the different modules, either with the same character or creating new characters. There is literally so much to explore, to burn through. Everything is new every single time. And then if we look at some of the bigger modules that you could play and make your way through, of course, they have replayability in that you're not going to be able to hit up everything at once in exploring it. And of course, there are infinite dungeons, which is a module that spawns just this massive, massive dungeon that you have to grind through. It's kind of like, committing heresy here, Diablo for Dungeons and Dragons, where you make your way through. So replayability, it's a different replayability than Baldur's Gate, but it is definitely out there, and there is definitely so much Neverwinter Nights content. That's just core modules. That's just downloadable modules. That's just fan content, premium modules. Essentially go into the story, play the adventure. It's like having a library of D&D adventures in your pocket. We're not even getting into hosted server play and stuff like that. So from that perspective, Neverwinter Nights has a lot more portability and has a lot more replayability, in my opinion. And I love Baldur's Gate than BG.